Good day, and it is quite a chilly day down here today. There was a hard frost overnight. It's the first hard frost we have had of the season. I woke up about 4 o'clock and looked outside and saw that the roofs were white, and I thought, oh, is that snow? But no, it was a hard frost. I love snow. You see, in Guernsey, we had so little snow that snow I just still think as being magical. And yeah, so they say it might snow today. That would be fabulous. But I know some of you have had tons of snow, especially in the States. And I'm not sure I could actually deal with the amount of snow that you get in the States and in Canada in some places. When I was in Minneapolis years ago, gosh, that was snowy. That was snowy. Anyway, I think you've heard about that before. So yeah, the ground is frozen. When I was walking from the allotment gate, the shed, my feet were crunching as I went along, or not my feet, though onto that in a moment. My feet were making a crunching sound as I walked to the shed. And today I have my proper walking boots on, my proper solid walking boots. As yesterday, when I was going back home, I had a little slip. I didn't fall over, but it was one of those things where your foot just sort of went away from under you, and I sort of stabilized myself and I was fine. Though later on in the day, I had a really, really painful ankle and I was sort of hobbling along. Fortunately, the pain has gone this morning and my ankle is working okay, but it's always on my left hand foot, which is where I had a really quite a painful fall when doing one of the ice rinks. I fell, not actually on the ice rink, but walking to one of the ice rinks. I fell many years ago, about maybe 2006, and I have a weakened ankle because of that. So it's always that foot. So instead of doing things today, I was hoping to get another bed prep today. I just thought I would speak to you a little bit about our allotments here. Lindsay asked how many plots there are. Well, there are now 68 plots. And I say now because last year there were 69, because our 2 plots, which are now 1 plot, are now 1 plot. So we have 69 plots in total, and they range in size from 10 poles, which is what we have here, a full plot, to quarter plots, third plots, and half plots. We also have one sort of semi-shared plot here as well. So really there's a size of plot to suit many people who are good at growing and know how to maintain a plot. And if you have a third plot or a half plot or a quarter plot and you want to have more space, you can put your name onto a list that once a plot becomes available, you will be, and you get to the top of the list, you'll be offered it to see whether you'd like to move to that plot or have that plot additionally. But our plots, as I think I've mentioned before, I mentioned last week, there is a rule that we can only have 1 full plot per household. And I think that's a really good rule to have, because it means that more people can cultivate, basically. You know, so if you have one person having 3 or 4 or 5 plots, as happens at other allotment sites around the country, that's, you know, potentially 3 or 4 people who can't garden or can't grow, can't allotmenteer because that plot is being taken up. However, I also think that if the demand isn't there and people have more than 1 full plot, then that's great too. I mean, certainly with us allotmenteers and growers, however much space we have, we always seem to want more, don't we? That's the nature of the beast, I think. Even though we have such a lovely plot here, I'm still thinking whether this coming year we're going to be growing potatoes or not. So, yeah, yeah. Anyway, what else can I tell you? Oh, there's a plane going over. I'm just going to pause for the moment. As many of you know, we are in West London. We're about as far west in London that you can go before you hit another county. And this site, which is Billet's Heart, has been an allotment site since 1922. So in just over a year, we will actually hopefully be celebrating 100 years of allotmenteering on site. The land that this allotment sits on, along with our sister community gardens, is run by the charity of William Hotbin. And this bit of land that we're sitting on was gifted by a guy called William Hotbin for the benefit of the people of the parish in 1484. And the charity of William Hotbin is effectively, it's obviously a registered charity now, but over all of those years, this land and other land that was gifted by William Hotbin has been used for the benefit of the people of the parish. In 2008, the charity of William Hotbin took these allotments back because they used to be managed by Hanwell Parish Council, and they took the management back from Ealing Council, which obviously over the years, Hanwell Parish Council, all councils, smaller parish councils got together, and Ealing Parish Council is now a huge council in West London. So it's Acton, Ealing and Southall. And Ealing Council was managing it up till 2008, and the charity took it back because they have they wanted to be quite strict in that the land was being used for the benefit of people who lived in the local area rather than anyone in the area. So, or at least I think that's why it came back as management to them. At that time, they were also looking at starting the community gardens and were working with the Canal and River Trust about leasing land, clearing land and creating a community gardens. And then I think in about 2014, they bought the land from the Canal and River Trust that the community garden sits on. So there's actually within the charity of William Hotbin a real interest in developing, growing and gardening within our local area. And the charity also allows money for developing other sites. They have a number of other sites, not allotment sites or community gardens, but community managed sites around our borough, which is absolutely fantastic, or in fact around our ward generally. So yeah, it's a really nice allotment. I think it's a great allotment, and the community gardens is great. And knowing that people can manage a 3 metre by 3 metre space, and therefore knowing that they would be able to manage a larger space, I think keeps both sites really positive and cultivated and well maintained. There will always be times like in this year where people aren't able to get to their plots, and then you expect maintenance to slip a bit. But I think there's such community here that when things like COVID did come in March, there were an awful lot of people who were sowing potatoes for other people who were self-isolating, harvesting and taking that food to people who were self-isolating. And that actually is the joy of allotmenteering, isn't it? Or it's a joy for me anyway. Today's an interesting day because there's a few other plot holders down here, but I think everyone is keeping themselves a bit to themselves today. Yesterday was very much a day where people wanted to chat, and there was a lot of chatting going on. Today, it's more, hi, how are you? and then people sort of getting on with what they want to do. So there's somebody, sorry, there's somebody just down there who's listening to me, has just given me a thumbs up that they want to get on and do their plot. So there we are. That's not a thing for me to stop filming. It's just an acknowledgement that they agree with what I'm saying. I will leave it there. And I will see you again very soon for another segment of A Week at the Plot. If you're watching this on Planet Vegetaria, have a very good week. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you enjoy the other segments. Bye. Good day. These are our Bunyard's exhibition broad beans. They were very wilted earlier on. I did take some footage, but unfortunately the footage hasn't come out. So when I upload to YouTube, I'll put a still photo that I took in. But these were really wilted from the frost that we had overnight. It was worse the night before, but they were still quite... You can see this one is sort of bent over and this one's bent over. They were pretty horizontal, and it's now warmed up a little bit. When I say warmed up, I mean the frost has gone and it's a few degrees warmer than it was first thing. And these have all picked up again and are pretty much vertical. So that's great. It happens to broad beans and brassicas. It's basically a natural mechanism that they have when it gets cold. And they do that to protect themselves. And then when the temperature warms up a little bit in that same day, then they start standing up again like these are. So don't worry too much about seeing overwintered vegetables wilting a bit in the cold and the frost, because that's basically what they do, and then they bounce back when it gets a little bit warmer. Behind me, I've just realised I may have some more potatoes. We have 2 tubs of Cara potatoes here that I had completely forgotten about. I knew they were here and I kept on thinking, right, I'm going to harvest those, and haven't. As you can see, there's weeds growing. There's also what's that? That's oh, I've forgotten. Nigella. Is it Nigella? Oh, I've completely... something in the mist. Gosh, I've completely forgotten that. Anyway, that's growing in there, and I'll most probably put some of those into pots. But I'm going to rummage through this myself now, and then we'll see if there's any potatoes at the end. So looky what we have here. Some really decent sized potatoes from 2 tubs that I had largely forgotten about, or kept on meaning to harvest. Not forgotten about, but kept on meaning to harvest. And look at all those potatoes. How fabulous. Right, we'll leave it on that delicious sight, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. As you may be able to see, the sun is coming out. Actually, when I left home, I needed my sunglasses because it was so bright. The sun was absolutely fully out. The sky was pretty clear. Of course, it took me about 20 minutes to get down here, even though it's only a 4 or 5 minute walk, because I bumped into another set of plot holders. So we had a good chat, which was absolutely lovely. And, oh, there's a train. Oh, I can see the train. There's a gravel quarry quite away from us, and it has its own train line that goes to it, which is on the other side of the canal. And it again, trains, they excite me. It's not something we had in Guernsey. So trains really always excite me, and every now and again we see it sort of going along. I can see it going along. Yeah, it's just coming to an end, so I won't show you, but isn't it ridiculous? I get excited at the most ridiculous things, I really do. Anyway, as I'm going to be doing just pottering today, I'm not going to take you with me on that. I'm just going to be walking around, making notes as I do, and putting a few things straight. And yeah, just pottering. But what I do want to show you is the Portuguese cabbage seeds that we sowed, what was it, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, because they're in the poly and they're doing well. I think I'm going to leave them in the poly, but I am mulling whether to take them out and put them under some protection. Not that they need protection from the cold, but they are quite tasty morsels for pigeons at this stage. Let me show you them. Before I do that, and just picking up on the video from yesterday, you can see how these broad beans are all bent over, apart from maybe one. They'll be fine in an hour or so. They'll be back up to where they were when we filmed them yesterday. This is just what they do to protect themselves from frost. These are the Portuguese cabbage seedlings, which are doing well. But yeah, I think I'm going to move them outside. Because even though Portuguese cabbage do get quite tall before you transplant them, I would like these to be outside so that they have got more sun than they have inside the polytunnel. So that's what I'm going to do now. Very easy job done. These vents at the top I'm leaving open, not for water to get in, but just for air circulation. And we will see how they do. As I say, I'm covering them more for the sake of stopping pigeons eating them than anything else. What I am going to do is just get something to weight this down. Can you see Mr. Robin came along then? I don't think you could see that. She's over here on the shrub. So no, I tried to get a picture of little Robin, but she or he didn't want to play ball this morning. So I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you again tomorrow. The sun is coming out. I need my sunglasses again. Bye. a bit more quiet time today. There was a daffodil bulb that a squirrel, I think, had dug out. I cut down some of the autumn fruiting raspberries to the ground in preparation for what we're going to do in that fruit bed. Cut back some bramble, and then just a bit of weeding, and also just clipping back a lavender that I hadn't done anything about so far. Yeah, and just pottering. So, some quiet time. I'll see you again soon, and it will be a brand new year, or at least a brand new calendar year, and a quarter of the way into our growing year. Happy New Year. Good day and Happy New Year. I just looked at myself. Look, I'm really unshaven today. I should have. Well, I like to shave every 2 days, but you know what? You don't need to know that anyway, do you? No, you don't. I am here with a special guest today. I'm sure you can guess who it is. And she has brought some lovely things for us to get in the soil. It's starting to rain, but we'll get in and get it done.
It feels quite cold. Oh, pardon me.
I don't think that was Vivi. I think that was one of our horses.
Hello, everyone. Happy new gastrointestinal tract. I think it was one of the ponies.
It was. I think it was Lulu. There we are.
Oh, right.
But it's
Lulu.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
It's great to have Vivi here. Let me just show you what she has brought for us to plant. Look at these beauties. So these are some of Vivi's broad beans, and at the front some of her poached egg plants, which is fabulous. We've got a few gaps to plug in our own broad bean bed, but these are also going to go into our brassica bed, where we're just going to clear some at the moment, clear some brassicas, and then these I think are going to go into that bed over there.
Oh, that'd be great.
What's the first thing we're going to do?
I think find me a trowel. I'll get the poached eggs in, and I'll have it's not really weedy, but I see one bit of grass. I'll get it out. Just decide where you want it, because it is going to spread.
You're putting it in. You decide where it's going.
Okay. I think basically, it's asking to go about there.
Yeah.
Because then it can fill those, and it can eventually get that way. What's the twiggy bit on the end?
That's a euphorbia.
Okay, so
that's just here.
That's big enough to cope, and then you may drown out a couple of other things. But hey, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and I can also just remove it and put it elsewhere.
Exactly.
As it grows.
Exactly.
Fab.
Yay!
Super.
Let's get on.
This brassica is really not doing well. It was really bitten by aphids, so has not done well. And these tiny Brussels sprouts on here, why is that not focusing? There we are. Tiny Brussels sprouts. I'm going to take that out, and we will eat those Brussels sprouts, even though they're small, and then just weed this bed. If I come over here, weed this bed and put the broad beans that Vivi's given in. So I'll just crack on and do that now. Vivi is cracking on over there already. Look at that.
Cracking on. I'm thinking all those bubbles yesterday, and I'm head down.
So here we are. Vivi has done her work down here. What have you done?
I have planted some Limnanthes Douglasii, and I was just saying to Paul, they're lovely in there with the contrast of the foliage colour. They really pop each other, don't they?
Absolutely.
And they will spread and fill.
So that's lovely. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Come the spring. When does it come out?
Yeah, about April.
April.
So
Fantastic.
it's a nice one because it's early and the bees love it. So it's a nice early food source for the bees.
That's fabulous. That means that when I sit in the chair, I'll hear buzzing.
You'll be stung. Oh, hang on. What an untidy gardener.
And then if we go over there, you go first, Vivi.
Okay,
So we have weeded this area that Vivi is showing, a la Sale of the Century. If any of you have seen Sale of the Century, you'll know what I mean. And those are the broad beans in, which is fantastic.
That one is pathetic.
Oh,
but it might do. It might do. But the
yeah.
rest, you know, hopefully, spare broad beans. You can never have too many broad beans.
You can't. Never. So, have you enjoyed that?
I have. I was saying before, just a second ago, I've come to the garden many times and walked around and sat and chatted, but I've never got my hands in Paul's dirt.
No.
It's nice to get my hands on your dirt, lovely.
And the interesting
it's just
thing...
lovely to garden next to someone, to actually physically be gardening with someone.
And I would allow so few people to do what you've done today.
Ditto the other way round. Yeah, probably the only other person I would ever let go anywhere near my beds is you.
Isn't it funny? We love gardening with a community, but
get off my end.
Yeah, we also know what we like to do. So
well, thank you so much for having me and letting me play in your muck.
Thank you.
Glorious.
And we are going to go home now. And what have you made for us for lunch today? Fennel risotto.
Yum, yum, yum.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we will leave it there. Again, Happy New Year. And we will see Vivi. You've got a video today or tomorrow?
No, plans have changed a little bit, but it should be out on Sunday the 3rd.
Sunday the 3rd.
My first sowing of the season.
God, sowing of the season. There we are, sowing in January. Fantastic. We will see you very soon, and we'll put a link to Vivi's video when this goes up on YouTube. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Happy gardening. Oh, I love muck.
Good day. So I needed to change the Vital Seeds calendar from a 2020 version to this year's 2021 version. So that's what I've just done. The graphics in the Vital Seeds calendar are just so gorgeous each year that I will be keeping the 2020 calendar to frame up at some point and use those maybe at our next home and our next garden where we hope to have a larger shed. But anyway, that's the January 2021 calendar up. And even though it's only the 2nd of January, I'm doing our first seed sowing of the year today. Unusually for me, very colourful Polyanthus. So this is just a packet of seeds that I got in a magazine, free, don't know when, so by 2022, so they're well in date. Polyanthus Large Flowered Mix, as you can see, they're quite colourful, which again is unusual for me. I normally like to sort of pick a particular colour or a couple of colours and go with that. Though in our flower border bed, I really just want as much colour in there as possible. So some of these, as long as they germinate and grow and I look after them well enough, will go into the flower border bed, and others hopefully will be able to pot up. And if we can get to the Hanwell Carnival this year, they'll be able to raise money for the allotments, which would be fab. So what am I going to do? Let me just show you. So I've just wet the top of the compost. This is multi-purpose compost. I just show you the seeds are really quite tiny, and I'm just going to scatter them on the surface. Check the packet, a few more in there. That's all the seed out. And now I'm just going to cover this with a, what do you call it, propagation cover. There's no heat and we're in a unheated polytunnel, as you know. We will just leave those in there now. They like to see the light, which is why I've put no sprinkling of compost on top of the seeds once I've scattered them over the soil. And hopefully in 4 to 6 weeks, we'll start to see some germination. Obviously, I will check them each week and make sure that the soil is damp but not wet. Right, that's it for today. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. I've mentioned our perennial compost bin quite a few times over the past few months, and a couple of people have asked me, what is your perennial compost bin? Our perennial compost bin is a completely closed bin that we use to very slowly compost perennial weeds such as couch grass, cinquefoil and bindweed, which are an absolute pain on the plot and on any plot. In fact, they're those weeds that you really need to get out. We can put them into our Hotbin composter, which composts at a high temperature. And we were fortunate enough to get our Hotbin composter completely free of charge a couple of years ago from a person that was offering it on FreeCycle. If we were to buy it, it would be in the region of about 180 to 200 quid, something like that, and certainly not something we would be putting our money into. So another option, if you cannot afford or cannot get your hands on a Hotbin composter, is a closed perennial bin. Now, using this way is cold composting, and it takes an awful long time for things to break down. We are using an old wheelie bin that we were given, that was spared to the people that it had been delivered to and wasn't being collected by the council. So we were given it and we use it as our perennial compost bin. Let me just show it to you. This is it. It's a full length wheelie bin. It's one of the bins where garden waste is collected from people's homes for municipal composting. And this one was spare and the council didn't take it back, so we were gifted it. As you can see, it has a lid. And any perennial weeds and sort of some tougher stems go in here. And over a couple of years, they will slowly compost down with cold composting. In the summer, because this gets quite a bit hotter, the process is speeded up, but it will normally take 18 months to 2 years once full. So you can see a range of weeds in here. Couch grass, cinquefoil there, bindweed that has really sort of massive roots, bindweed down here as well. And what I do is I layer up about a foot, and then I put a inverted compost bag on top, and then put more on top. And as I say, this process, which works for us, takes a good 18 months, 2 years once this bin is full. So it's now January 2021. I expect this bin to be full once we've done our other beds, which will be about maybe the end of February. So I would be expecting to look at this around 2023, February 2023, maybe a few months earlier, and see if all of this has broken down. Because one thing you do not want to do is put perennial weeds into your general cold composting bins, because they will all survive a general composting bin. What you could do is put them into a closed container, put perennial weeds into a closed container, put a stone on top of them and drown them for 4 weeks to 8 weeks, and then drain them and put them into your normal compost bin. But that's not the main way that we do things. Anyway, I will leave it there, and we'll see you very soon for another A Week at the Plot. If you like what we do, please do subscribe. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comments below. And Happy New Year to everyone again. Bye.